This video is to remind you of the definition of absolute values that you learned in middle school. So that is going to be our learning target. Our learning target is I can recall the meaning of absolute value. Let's start with the definition. What is absolute value? Absolute value is the distance from zero on a number line. And since it is a distance, it cannot be negative. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples. And the first example, which is the absolute value of -5, I'm going to use the number line that's available there. So the absolute value of -5, if I put the point on the number line, it would be right here. And what I want to see is that this point is 5 units from 0. So that gives us an absolute value of +5. Now doing the other two examples, it's the same idea. You're going to simplify the expression and then take the absolute value as necessary. Absolute value has the same order of operations as parentheses. So you want to treat it as one of the more important operations to do. So using that idea, we want to simplify inside the absolute value, just like we would simplify inside parentheses before we would take the absolute value. So we're looking at the absolute value of -45 plus 39 is going to give us the absolute value of -6, which is the value of -45 plus 39. So the absolute value of -6 will be 6 because we're 6 units from 0. Next, number 3, we have -4 times the absolute value of -9. We'll have to take the absolute value before we can multiply by -4. So we'll keep the -4. We'll take the absolute value of -9, which is +9. So now we can multiply -4 times +9, and we get -36. Now notice the problem started with 2 negative signs in multiplication, and normally we would automatically assume that the answer would be positive. But because of the absolute value symbols, you want to make sure you do that operation first, and we end up with a -36. And then finally, the last example, the same thing. You want to simplify inside the absolute value symbols first, and then follow our order of operations. So we're going to keep that multiplication by 1/2. Then we're going to simplify -7 minus 9, and we get -16. And then we're going to keep our +2. Next thing we're going to do is take the absolute value of -16. That'll be +16. And then we have the +2. So now we can do our multiplication. 1/2 times 16, half of 16 is 8. And then we still have our +2. So we get a final answer of 10. Okay, so what I would like you guys to do is to do the 3 problems on the back and check your answers. We will go over these in class.